Welcome to the Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control's Group 2 Scrap Tire Facilities Training Module, brought to you in accordance with the Division of Waste and Hazardous Substances Compliance and Permitting section. The purpose of this training module is to teach a basic understanding of the requirements and operational standards needed to maintain a Group 2 scrap tire facility.
What is a Group 2 scrap tire facility? It is an accumulation of 100 or more scrap tires or PTEs that is not fully enclosed by a building or fully enclosed by a trailer. The total volume for scrap tires can be no greater than 901 square feet by 10 feet high. There is one scrap tire facility allowed for the qualifying business. A permit is required. The details of this will be discussed later in the training module.
What is a Group 2 scrap tire facility? Financial assurance is required. The owner or operator of a Group 2 scrap tire facility must provide assurance that financial costs associated with closure can be met. A minimum of $10,000. Options include a trust fund, a surety bond, letter of credit, insurance, local government financial test and guarantee, corporate financial test and guarantee. Financial assurance requirements can be found at Delaware's Regulations Governing Solid Waste, Section 4.1.11, Financial Assurance Criteria, or by contacting the Compliance and Permitting section at 302-739-9403.
What is a Group 2 scrap tire facility continued? The scrap tire facility can be in several different configurations, but not limited to a rectangle, square, or round. The scrap tire facility size is determined by measuring the distance between the furthermost scrap tires and then calculating the square footage. The scrap tire facility height is measured using the lowest point on the lowest tire. How to calculate the square footage of a square or rectangle shaped scrap tire facility. For a square or rectangle scrap tire facility, the square footage equals length in feet times the width in feet, with the height being no greater than 10 feet. How to calculate the square footage for a square or rectangular scrap tire facility. In this example, we have a scrap tire facility with a length of 30 feet and a width of 30 feet. So we take 30 feet times 30 feet, which equals 900 square feet, which is less than the maximum of 901 square feet. How to calculate the square footage for a circle-shaped scrap tire facility. For a circular scrap tire facility, square footage equals pi times radius in feet times radius in feet. Pi equals 3.14, with the height being no greater than 10 feet. How to calculate the square footage for a circular scrap tire facility. In this example, we have a scrap tire facility with a radius of 16.75 feet. So we take 3.14 times 16.75 feet times 16.75 feet, which equals 880.97 square feet, which is less than the maximum of 901 square feet. If your scrap tire facility exceeds the 901 square feet, you must reduce the size of your scrap tire facility to remain in compliance with Delaware's regulations governing solid waste. Definitions. Floodplain means the lowland and relatively flat areas adjoining inland and coastal waters that are inundated by the 100-year flood. 100-year flood means a flood that has a 1% or greater chance of recurring in any given year, or a flood of a magnitude equaled or exceeded once in 100 years on the average over a significantly long period. A setback is the minimum amount of distance required between the most outer edge of the scrap tire facility and another object, including but not limited to a property line, public roads, wells, etc. Group 2 Permit Application Requirements. Here we will discuss the items required in order to complete a Group 2 permit application, as well as provide some examples and useful links which will assist you in completing the Group 2 application. Items include selecting the type of qualifying business to be operated, such as new, used, tire retailer, automotive business, etc. Property size, in acres or square feet, a tax parcel number. The property size, tax parcel number, and a tax parcel map can be found using the provided Delaware Tax Stitch Map application link. You will need the current zoning designation, as well as proof of all applicable zoning approvals by submitting documentation such as a tax parcel map or zoning certificate. The property on which the scrap tire facility is located must carry the appropriate business zoning from the county in which it resides. All appropriate federal, state, and local environmental permits must be obtained. A zoning certificate can be obtained by contacting the Planning and Zoning Office in the county where the business will be located. Group 2 permit application requirements continued. The scrap tire facility description must include the volume of proposed scrap tires to be managed on site. Indicate where scrap tires will be stored. The area under the scrap tire facility must be adequately stabilized to prevent any scrap tires from sinking below ground level and prevent any significant unintended movement of scrap tires. Indicate how often the scrap tires will be removed from the scrap tire facility. Identify the transporter to be used. Self-transporting scrap tires without a permit is a violation of Delaware's regulations governing solid waste, Section 7.1.1, transporters. This is a frequently seen violation and easily avoided by contracting with a permitted Delaware solid waste transporter authorized to haul scrap tires, or by obtaining a permit to become a transporter. A list of permitted transporters is available from the Compliance and Permitting section. Indicate where scrap tires will be transported after being removed from the scrap tire facility. Group 2 permit application requirements continued. You must include a facility diagram. This needs to be an accurate diagram of the proposed scrap tire facility. You must indicate the property boundaries, the location of the scrap tire facility, all roads bordering the property, as well as the fire break and location of buildings on the property. You must indicate all minimum setbacks from the scrap tire facility are met for Group 2 on the diagram. If a setback cannot be achieved, an explanation must be provided and indicate if another entity, such as city, county, or municipal government, has indicated acceptance of the setback in place at the facility. Setbacks include 50 feet from the state or federally regulated wetlands, ponds, rivers, and streams, 150 feet from public roads and property boundaries, 300 feet from residences, 300 feet from all pre-existing drinking water supply wells, as well as a 50-foot fire break around the facility. Distances must be measured using the closest tire to the setback object. An example of a Group 2 facility diagram has been provided to assist you in creating your own. In this example, a green line has been used to indicate the property boundary. The blue rectangle indicates the scrap tire facility with a white border representing the required 50-foot fire break. All roads bordering the property and all buildings on the property have been labeled as well. All setbacks are labeled with the actual distance in feet using the closest tire to the setback object. Group 2 permit application requirements continued. A Geographic Information System image, also known as a GIS image, is required. This needs to be a current image of the property where the scrap tire facility is located. GIS images can be obtained through Google Earth or Google Maps. The highlighted links have been provided to help assist you with this requirement. You must identify the property boundaries as well as the scrap tire facility location on the image. You must label the use of surrounding properties. Examples of this include a business with a type of business, residence, etc. The GIS image and the facility diagram requirement may be combined into one if able to provide all the required items into one GIS image. An example of a Group 2 facility GIS image has been provided. Notice the use of the surrounding properties has been labeled to include the City Hall, library, post office, as well as green space, residential, residential commercial, and commercial properties. A green line has been used to indicate the property boundary, and a blue rectangle indicates the scrap tire facility location. Group 2 permit application requirements continued. A scrap tire facility cannot be within or near important and/or sensitive habitat or habitats supporting rare, threatened, or endangered species at the Department's discretion and determination. Group 2 permit application requirements continued. A floodplain map is required. You must demonstrate the scrap tire facility will not be located in FEMA's 100-year floodplain, restrict the flow of a 100-year flood, or reduce storage capacity of a floodplain unless approved measures are taken to mitigate environmental impacts. You must use the most recent Federal Emergency Management Agency 100-year flood data when providing a floodplain map of the property. The following link to the Delaware Flood Planning Tool application can assist you with a floodplain map requirement. Indicate whether you are required to have or already have flood insurance related to the property where your facility is located. An example of a floodplain map has been provided using the Delaware Flood Planning Tool. Using the search feature, you must either enter your address or parcel number to locate your proposed scrap tire facility. In this example, we use the address of DNREC's Richardson and Robbins building. Notice in the results, it tells us the location is not within the FEMA 100-year floodplain. Group 2 Permit Application Requirements continued. A fire break is required. You must maintain a 50-foot fire break in all directions surrounding the scrap tire facility. This must consist of either a mineral strip kept clear of combustible materials such as weeds, grass, brush, and debris, or well-maintained and regularly mowed grass. There is no smoking within the scrap tire facility or the fire break. No activities involving the use of open flames, blow torches, or highly flammable substances are permitted within the scrap tire facility or required fire break, such as propane tanks, fuel, or flammable aerosols. The two photos at the right are examples of how not to maintain a fire break for a scrap tire facility. In the upper right-hand photo, there are weeds, grass, and brush growing up through and around the scrap tires. This is not permitted. In the lower right-hand photo, there is a car parked within several feet of the scrap tire facility, as well as weeds and brush growing up at the edge of the scrap tire facility. This is not permitted. Finally, there is mixed automotive debris combined with the scrap tires. This is not permitted. Only scrap tires are allowed within the scrap tire facility. Group 2 Permit Application Requirements continued. Mosquito control is required. Measures must be implemented at the scrap tire facility upon adding scrap tires or within 24 hours of a precipitation event by either of the following: removal of water accumulated in scrap tires before placing them into the scrap tire facility and within 24 hours of a precipitation event, punching/drilling holes in the walls of the scrap tire to sufficiently prevent water accumulation, storing scrap tires in a covered scrap tire facility to prevent further accumulation, application of mosquito larvicide within 48 hours of placement in the scrap tire facility or within 48 hours of a precipitation event if water is not removed from the scrap tires. Application can be performed by owner/operator or a licensed contractor. Application can also be performed by DNREC's Mosquito Control Section at their discretion if requested by owner/operator with reimbursement to the Mosquito Control Section for all costs associated with the treatment. If using a restricted use pesticide, it must be purchased and applied by a Delaware certified pesticide applicator. This could be the owner/operator if properly certified. It must be reapplied as needed to maintain good larval control. Group 2 Permit Application Requirements continued. An operations manual is required. A copy must be attached to the permit application. This requirement will be discussed in the Operational Standards section of this training module. Certification is also required. A statement signed by the property owner, business owner, and operator, unless the applicant is all three, that all siting, design standards, and operational requirements will be met before commencement of any construction or operation of a scrap tire facility. Scrap Tire Facilities Operational Standards. Operations Manual Requirements. The owner-operator must develop and implement an operations manual. A link has been provided to the following guidance document to assist you in creating your own operations manual for your scrap tire facility. It is titled Scrap Tire Facility Operations Manual, a Guide. On-site operations will be discussed next. Operations Manual Requirements continued. Employee training is required. The owner/operator must train all employees responsible for operating the scrap tire facility with the regulatory requirements of the operations manual in order to maintain compliance. You must have a description of your training plan to include the following: procedures to be implemented in the event of emergencies such as fires, as well as familiarization with the rest of the following operations manual requirements. You must affirm the siting and design standards will be met and maintained. You must also affirm only scrap tires generated by or from the qualifying business will be present in the scrap tire facility. You must also provide a description as to how the scrap tire facility will be secured at all times during non-business hours, such as enclosed by a locked security fence. Operations manual requirements continued. You must affirm scrap tires removed from the facility will be properly transported to an authorized treatment, storage, disposal, or recycling facility, TSDRF, by a permitted Delaware solid waste transporter authorized to transport scrap tires. You must provide a description of how a paper copy of the operations manual will be maintained so that it is readily available on site. General facility conditions. You must provide a description of procedures for cleanup and maintenance of the scrap tire facility, including the following: removal of litter and unauthorized materials, the type of fire break that will be used and how it will be maintained, ensuring there are no open flames in the scrap tire facility or fire break, including no smoking. Operations manual requirements continued. Mosquito control is required. You must include a description ensuring how scrap tires will be kept free of water. If all water will not be removed from scrap tires within 24 hours of placement in the scrap tire facility or within 24 hours of a precipitation event, you must include a description of how larvicide/adulticide will be applied within another 24 hours, 48 hours total, and reapplied as necessary. You can refer back to the mosquito control section of the Group 2 application requirements for more details. Operations manual requirements continued. Contingency planning and emergency response procedures. You must identify an emergency coordinator, including name and contact information. The emergency coordinator is responsible for the following: emergency and maintenance issues, notifications to local authorities and employees of emergencies related to the scrap tire facility, and actions to be taken for events having potential impact to human health and the environment. An example would be a fire. In the event of a fire or emergency at the scrap tire facility, the emergency coordinator will, at a minimum, immediately call 911 and DNREC's 24-hour emergency number 1-800-662-8802. Additionally, a written report detailing the event shall be submitted to DNREC CAPS within 7 days of the reported emergency. Operations manual requirements continued. You must include the following: an inventory of emergency equipment available for use and where they are located, as well as locations of water sources, hydrants, and dry chemical extinguishers. You must include a statement ensuring emergency equipment is readily accessible and emergency responders can access the facility. You must provide a statement detailing arrangements made to familiarize a local fire department with the layout of the facility and places where personnel would normally be working. You can do this by sending a map via certified mail with descriptions of the facility sent to the local fire department. Operations manual requirements continued. You must include a procedure ensuring that in the event of a fire or other emergency related to the scrap tire facility, a written report detailing the event will be submitted to DNREC within 7 days of the reported emergency. Inspections. You must describe procedures for inspections, including general housekeeping, the fire break, emergency equipment, and security. This will be further discussed in the following slide with the operational standards. Record keeping. You must include a statement that records will be maintained for a minimum of 3 years. You must describe procedures for maintaining the records. This will be further discussed within the operational standards. Scrap tire facility inspections. These must be conducted at least monthly and documented. An example log sheet has been provided to assist you with the inspections requirements. General housekeeping. Check that the scrap tire facility is free of litter and unauthorized material. Check that only scrap tires which are generated by the qualifying business are present. Fire prevention. Check that the grass is maintained if applicable. Check that combustible materials are not present, such as weeds, brush, and debris. Check there are no ignition sources present, such as a flame, blowtorch, smoking, or flammable substances. Scrap tire facility inspections continued. Emergency equipment. Check that safety and emergency equipment is available and in good working condition. Security. Check that the perimeter fencing is intact and ensure that the scrap tire facility is secured during non-business hours. Maintenance. Ensure the scrap tire facility dimensions are within regulatory limits, 901 square feet by 10 feet high. Include a description of any corrective actions taken to address issues that are found during inspection. Percentage of turnover. A guidance document has been provided to assist you with the percentage of turnover requirement. At least 75% by weight, volume, or number of the January 1st scrap tire inventory must be sent to an authorized TSDRF every calendar year. You must use a permitted Delaware solid waste transporter authorized to haul scrap tires. You will need to assess your accumulated scrap tire inventory on January 1st. You will need to determine the total amount of scrap tires transported off-site to an authorized TSDRF during the same calendar year. Percentage of turnover calculation and examples. How to calculate. Divide the amount of scrap tires transported to a TSDRF during the calendar year by the January 1st scrap tire inventory of the same calendar year and multiply by 100 to get the percentage of turnover. In example number 1, the unit of measure is the number of scrap tires, all one tire size. January 1st inventory equals 500 scrap passenger car tires, and the total scrap passenger car tires sent to an authorized TSDRF during the calendar year equals 375 scrap passenger car tires. So the percentage of turnover calculation is 375 divided by 500 times 100 equals 75%, which meets the minimum 75% turnover requirement. Percentage of turnover examples. In example number 2, the unit of measure is weight using passenger tire equivalents or PTEs with mixed tire sizes. The January 1st inventory equals 250 scrap passenger car tires and 250 scrap semi-truck tires weighing 90 pounds per tire. We have 125 scrap passenger tires and 125 scrap semi-truck tires sent to an authorized TSDRF during the calendar year. First, we calculate the semi-truck tire total weight. 250 tires times 90 pounds per tire equals 22,500 pounds. So you convert pounds to PTEs. 1 PTE equals 25 pounds. 22,500 divided by 25 equals 900 PTEs. So we have 250 scrap passenger car tires, which equals 250 PTEs. And then the total January 1st inventory equals 900 PTEs plus 250 PTEs. This equals 1,150 PTEs. Next, we determine the total weight of all scrap tires transported to an authorized TSDRF. First, we calculate the semi-truck tire total weight. 125 tires times 90 pounds per tire equals 11,250 pounds. So you convert the pounds to PTEs. 11,250 divided by 25 equals 450 PTEs. Then we have 125 scrap passenger car tires, which equals 125 PTEs. So the total transported to the TSDRF equals 450 PTEs plus 125 PTEs, which equals 575 PTEs. Then the percentage of turnover calculation would be 575 PTEs divided by 1,150 PTEs times 100, which equals 50%. This does not meet the minimum 75% turnover requirement. Percentage of turnover examples continued. In example number 3, the unit of measure is volume using cubic feet with one tire size. The scrap passenger tires are stored in a fenced area 40 feet long by 8 feet wide by 7 feet high. The January 1st inventory equals 20 feet long by 8 feet wide by 7 feet high. The scrap tire storage facility was filled up twice, transporting all scrap tires each time to an authorized TSDRF during the calendar year. To calculate the January 1st inventory, we take length times width times height, which equals volume. So 20 feet times 8 feet times 7 feet equals 1,120 cubic feet. To determine the total volume of all scrap tires transported to an authorized TSDRF, we take 40 feet times 8 feet times 7 feet times 2, which equals 4,480 cubic feet. The percentage of turnover calculation would then be 4,480 cubic feet divided by 1,120 cubic feet times 100, which equals 400%, which meets the minimum 75% turnover requirement. Scrap Tire Facility Annual Report. Annual reporting is required. Scrap tire facilities are required to complete and submit a signed copy of an annual report by March 1st of each calendar year, covering scrap tire facility activities during the previous calendar year. A copy of a scrap tire facility annual report for 2019 has been provided as an example. The percentage of turnover document discussed in the previous slides with examples will aid you in calculating the percentage of turnover needed to complete this form. Every January, your business will receive an annual report form in the mail. If you do not receive one, please contact DNREC CAPS. Failure to submit an annual report may result in enforcement. Scrap tire facility record keeping. Record keeping is required. The following must be maintained for a minimum of 3 years and made available for inspection by the department upon request. Documentation of employee training, documentation demonstrating percentage of turnover, documentation of shipping records demonstrating delivery of scrap tires to an authorized TSDRF, documentation of arrangements with the local fire department to include a certified mail return receipt postcard or signed acknowledgement showing the local fire department has been notified of the existence of the scrap tire facility. Mosquito control records. This must include the name, type, and amount of larvicide applied per tire, the EPA registration number of the larvicide product lot used, the date and time of application, and the name of the person who applied the larvicide along with their Delaware certified pesticide applicator number if a restricted use pesticide was applied. Documentation of facility inspections.
Scrap tire facility application. A scrap tire facility permit application can be found at the following web address. The annual permit fee for a Group 2 scrap tire facility is $350 per year. In addition to the permit fee, upon each application submission, initial and every 5 years thereafter, a public notice fee of $50 is due. This concludes the Group 2 scrap tire training module.